Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. It is 6:06 a.m. East Coast time. It is Saturday, July 27th. Hopefully you all had a good Friday. Hopefully you all are going to have a good start to your weekend. Once again, I'm in a little box here. It's going to continue until tomorrow. Family is here until tomorrow in the apartment. If you did not know, I just did a move to Raleigh-Durham area of North Carolina. So they're sleeping in the living room right now on blow-up mattresses. My girlfriend's in the bedroom. I got to do this here since it's an apartment, not a house. So I'm in this business center. So I do apologize for the poor quality, whether it's not having a light in front of me with the green screen behind me, so you get a box, or potentially an echoey room since I don't have my mic all hooked up and set up in here. It's pretty much just my laptop, a couch, and hoping nobody walks in. And if they do, we're going to pretend like we're on a conference call and we're going to keep powering through this. But anyways, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Sal Vetri. I cover daily fantasy sports in the NFL, NBA, MLB like you're seeing right here, WNBA, which, yes, I'm a degenerate. Well, I'm not going to say I'm a degenerate. You shouldn't put yourself down like that. But I made a video for the degenerates of the WNBA showdown slate for the All-Star game. So that's today at 3:30. You can check that out. That went up yesterday. If you're interested at all, there are projections, and I show you the projections in the video. Other than that, though, we're going to get into this video. If you can hit me with a like button, that helps me. If you can hit me with a subscribe button, that helps me a lot. This is probably the slowest month of the year in all of fantasy sports, right? You have all the majors done. You have only the MLB going in the second half, and you maybe have some WNBA if you're into that sort of thing. There's no NBA, there's no hockey, there's clearly no NFL. But we're lucky. Sunday starts NFL preseason with the Hall of Fame game. Not sure if Draftkings is going to do anything for that, but I have been digesting NFL content for oh God, I don't even know. I did 8 hours worth the last 2 days alone, and just podcasts, articles, everything from beat writers to just get caught up. So if you're interested in that, yeah, I'll be covering that as well here on YouTube. So hopefully they do something for that showdown slate for the Hall of Fame game. That'd be pretty cool. But let's get into it. Again, subscribe. Patreon link down below if you do want to get more information on data sheets for the early slates. If I don't cover those early slates that you're interested in, I'll put those up there for just my rankings. And that's going to happen sometimes. We got the lights going off. We got the lights going on. Yeah, I don't know why this thing doesn't sense me, but we're going to work through it. So that might happen one more time, but who cares? Let's get into the slate. This is a weird slate because you have clear top options up top, and a Gerrit Cole and a Mike Clevenger in ideal matchups for both of them, I would say. And then you get nothing after that. I'm trying to dig for something on the bottom end, and it seems like a slate where if you're entering 150 lineups and you're somebody who does that, which I'm not, most of you probably aren't, but if you are, it seems like a slate where you're going to be spreading your exposures around at the bottom end, because having a lot of one of those guys down there in the matchups, well, those guys in general, between all the guys down there, Nova, Chi-Chi, Adrian Sampson, Sean Anderson, Glenn Sparkman, Homer Bailey, Steven Matz, all these guys who are garbage, having one of a lot of them seems scary, whereas just trying to have all of them in small doses and see if one hits and have a lot of lineups there seems more optimal in my opinion. So let's get it started. I've got 4 guys that I have early interest in, right? 2 of them I'm convicted around, but they're going to be quite obvious. The other one's more of a upper mid-range play, and then the last one is in the lower tier. I can give you another option if you want, but I don't have much conviction around anybody else. The slate for pitching, anything below the 2 top guys is pretty much garbage today, and I can say that pretty convincingly. Maybe one other guy, which we'll get to, seems favorable, but I'm pretty sure the herd, the field, everybody else is going to identify that pretty easily. So starting off with Gerrit Cole, it should be pretty obvious. This slate should be as obvious as it gets, like I said, in terms of where the nice pitching options are. $12,000 is way too cheap for him. Where I get it, these are the top end price tag of $12,000, but he's still a guy that I would pay $13,000 on this slate for potentially. So against Houston, again, they're watered down as it gets. 29th overall against righties since the start of June. Updating these stats, that comes out to an ISO of a 165. They strike out 23.8% of the time, so around average against righties. But you're going to get this guy in Gerrit Cole, who's striking out 37.9% of batters, 34.9% from the right side, 40.8% from the left side. So just been absolutely dominant. Gives up no hard hit percentage at 35.3%, although St. Louis is not acquiring any sort of power against righties. The lowest CR on the slate at 2.79, and he only walks 6% of batters, which is right around average. So yeah, Gerrit Cole today at $12,000 seems like a slam dunk. He's going to be playing against St. Louis, which is probably one of, if not the most pitcher-friendly ballpark on the slate for this year, and he's a 186 favorite. Goes the deepest into the ball games at 619 innings pitched per start. There's not a lot to love. There's not a lot to not like about. There's a lot to love and a lot not to like. Wow, that was messed up. There's a lot to love And there's not a lot not to like with Gerrit Cole. What a mouthful. So $12,000, he's obviously an early interest, somebody I'm going to try to prioritize. And it seems like Gerrit Cole and this next guy, Mike Clevenger, are always on the slate together. I don't know if it's been the last 2 times. They're always on the slate together. So Mike Clevenger at $11,400 seems like the better play between the two. Look, you get to save $600. He's a bigger favorite at minus 205. And I just told you how St. Louis is 29th, right? Second worst in the league, 29th out of 30 teams in power since June 1st against righties. Well, who's the last team? Well, that's the Kansas City Royals. They're 30th overall with a 130 ISO. Look at the gap between 29th and 30th. It's insane. Kansas City has a 130 ISO power, which is just doubles, triples, and home runs, all added up, pretty much divided by plate appearances. And then 29th in St. Louis, they're 165. It's a 0.35, a 0.035 difference, which if you don't think that's a lot, the gap between 28th and 29th is like a 0.5 difference, nothing, or like a 0.2 difference, a 0.02 difference. It's nothing crazy. That's a dramatic difference. So Kansas City is that much worse than St. Louis, was the second worst team in the league. So Mike Clevenger is going to get that to his advantage. And not only that, Kansas City is going to strike out a little bit less than St. Louis, 22.10% of the time. But they do walk less. So you get Mike Clevenger, a guy who's walking more, facing a team that doesn't walk at all. A guy who is striking out 42.7% of righties and 37% of lefties. Overall has the highest K percentage in the slate. Keep in mind, Clevenger has only pitched in, like 5 or 6 games right now compared to Cole, who has a much bigger sample, who's pretty much at the point where his sample is stabilized, so you can rely on his 37.9% strikeout rate, whereas Mike Clevenger is due for regression at 39.9, pretty much a 40% overall strikeout rate. So against Kansas City today, there's not much like, it's pretty much like if you had to pick 2 pitchers. I mean, Clevenger 2.97, Sierra, the guy goes 5 1/3 innings pitched per start, and again, that is kind of limited from 2 of the starts where he came out injured. So if you had to pick 2 pitchers in 2 spots, it doesn't get much better than this for Gerrit Cole and Mike Clevenger in terms of they're the 2 best strikeout pitchers on the year, probably. You can throw Max Scherzer into that mix if you want to. But as of right now, the 2 best strikeout pitchers in the starts that they've had, again, I get it, Clevenger's been small sample size, but 2 best strikeout guys on the year against teams that have no power. You can probably tell me that you could throw Miami in here. Maybe it's a little bit better of a matchup, but St. Louis and Kansas City will strike out right around average, and they have 0 power, and they're not walking. So, yeah, Gerrit Cole and Mike Clevenger. It seems like a day where if you threw both of these guys into your lineups and spent $23,400 on your pitching, which is insane, that much money is insane to spend on your pitching. But it seems like a day if you did that and they both dropped 35 points that you can make up for it as long as you get some sort of something from one of your cheap end stacks. Because on this slate, I'm struggling to find anything else that seems decent. Look, Anthony Desclafani at 9,200 against Colorado is not attractive. I understand that Colorado is really bad outside of Coors Field. I understand that against right-handed pitching, they only have a 174 ISO, which is around league average. They strike out 24% of the time, which is around league average. But what am I getting out of Anthony Desclafani? I get it. The guy's striking out more righties now, right? 27.6%. And that's coming up a lot, but he's still a guy who doesn't get ground balls. He's giving up way too many fly balls, 41% hard hit percentage, or 1.75 home run per 9. Look, if he was in the 7K range, yeah, I'd be all over Anthony Desclafani and his 27.6% strikeout rate today. But a guy who's going to give up power, going to give up home runs, and has to face Charlie Blackmon, Trevor Story, and then Nolan Arenado, and not even factoring in David Dahl and Daniel Murphy if you think they have power outside of Coors. It's just too scary for me. I'd rather pay $2,200 more and get to Mike Clevenger. I don't know what's happening right now with the LA pitchers. I think they're going to be doing a Felix Pena probable long relief, but I have no idea. I've been seeing in different places Trevor Cahill is going to start. I've been seeing in different places Cam Bedrosian is going to start. Bedrosian, I'm pretty sure, is a reliever. He only pitches 1 inning a game. He just pitched on the 26th, which was, I believe, yesterday. So I don't know what they're doing there. I don't think it's going to be him. That's what I believe Roto-Grinders had in fantasy. Something else had Fantasy Pros, maybe. I can't remember. But then Draftkings has Trevor Cahill. So either way, I don't have interest in any of them. I believe they're just going to be openers. If there is a probable long reliever name than a Felix Pena, well, that will be considered into my article later today. Potentially a better spot then against Baltimore, one of the better spots on the slate against this Baltimore team that, if it's going to be a lefty getting thrown out there, they strike out 27.2% of the time, now the most in the league against left-handed pitching, with a 146 ISO would be the lowest on the slate. So if there is a starter for the Angels today that is a lefty by any chance, or a probable long reliever is a lefty, I'm going to have a lot of interest in that pitcher because I imagine they will be cheap. So that's just a note to remember. My 2 interests right now are just Gerrit Cole and Mike Clevenger, but if LA starts a lefty. And a righty, I would have some interest in depending on price. But if they start a lefty, I'm going to have a lot of interest because Baltimore is the worst team in the league since June 1st against left-handed pitching, even worse than Texas now. The third guy I'm interested in is Martine Perez, and he's 8,800, so my interest is very loose because he's in this price point where, yeah, you get to save about $3,000, $3,500, 3.5 off of Gerrit Cole, $3,000 pretty much off of Clevenger. And he gets a really favorable matchup against the White Sox. He's a 184 favorite. He goes about a 5 1/3 innings pitched per start. The issue that I have, I get it, he's a lefty, so the White Sox strike out 25.4% of the time against lefties. That's top 5 on the slate. And they have around league average power, 172 against lefties. My problem with him is that he's not getting any strikeouts. Now, he's being safe, right? He's sort of a safe pitcher at 35% hard hit percentage. He has a 49% ground ball rate, which is really good. Top 5 on the slate, 28% fly ball rate, which is really good. I think the 4th best on the slate. And to power to lefties, an 0.34 ISO, to righties, a 162. So pretty much what that all says is that he's not giving up hard hit contact. He's not giving up too much home runs, which is indicated by a 0.94 home runs per 9. And now he's facing this White Sox team that is around average against left-handed pitchers at generating power, and they strike out above league average. So you're getting like this safe play because he doesn't have strikeout stuff. He strikes out 20.9% of batters, 21% from the left side, 20% from the right side. So he's not striking out a lot of guys at all. He's walking batters. His Sierra is decent for what you're paying for. Or Sierra is not decent. I was looking at one above, 4.81. There's the lights again. There's a sensor again. Do the YMCA. There we go. Bam. Yeah, but I don't know too much about getting to Martine Perez. It's just this is how bad this slate is because I'm not going to Daniel Ponce de Leon against Houston. I don't care that he strikes out 40% of lefties. Like, I really don't care. Zach Eflin against Atlanta is a no. I want all the Atlanta bats there. Chase Anderson, who I love playing, right? I love playing him, but I'm not paying $7,900 against the Cubs. Like, and I actually really enjoy Chase Anderson. He's a guy who's pretty solid to get you 10 fantasy points every time, and with the upside of 20 plus at 6,000, but $7,900, no way. Max Fried, no, against Philly, coming off an injury where they don't even know if he's going to have a blister or not. That's why they're pushing his startup a day, because he's less susceptible to blisters. Like, come on, no. This is how bad this range is. Trevor Williams, I was considering against the Mets, but Trevor Williams, the strikeout stuff is just absolutely falling off the planet at 18.6% against a team in the Mets who aren't going to strike out against right-handed pitching. 21% is one of the lowest ones in the slate. Homer Bailey versus Texas. I don't care that Texas is that bad in terms of they strike out a lot. Homer Bailey is just as bad with a 4.87 Sierra. Walks 10% of batters, gives up 45.4 hard hit percentage, the second highest on the slate, 1.38 home runs per 9 that's translating to. Doesn't strike anybody out. Yeah, Texas has been really, really bad against both sides of the plate in terms of striking out. They're striking out 27.5%, most on the slate against right-handed pitching. Maybe you want to throw Homer Bailey into your player pool. I'm not totally against you there, but I am a little bit concerned with Homer Bailey today, just because he's not a great pitcher, and I think he's going to garner a lot of ownership. The guy that I'm going to get to, and the guy who's the 4th of my interest, so far we have Gerrit Cole, Mike Clevenger, and Martine Perez, is Cal Quantrill. He's $6,600. He's $100 less than Homer Bailey. He's a less popular name than Homer Bailey. People know the name Homer Bailey more so from his time with the Royals, and he just sticks with you more. But Kyle Quantrill is going to get to go up against the Giants today, who don't strike out a ton against right-handed pitching. Since June 1st, they strike out only 21.9% of the time, so that's not great. But Kyle Quantrill actually sports a 26.4% strikeout rate. He sports the 3rd highest strikeout rate, or 4th highest, barely, almost tied for the 3rd highest, a half a percentage point away from Anthony Descalfano. The 4th highest strikeout rate against righties on the slate. The Giants aren't built on right-handed bats. They have They'll have one lefty in this lineup, in the middle of the lineup. So he doesn't give up power to righties, and that's what, again, there'll be a lot of righties in this lineup, and he strikes out 26.4% of them. I like it. He has a 49.4% ground ball rate. That is the 2nd best in the slate, so he's getting a lot of ground balls, 31% fly ball rate. That's pretty good. He is only walking 6% of batters, a 4.33 Sierra. So when you're paying below $7,000, if you see a guy below a 4.5 Sierra, that's pretty good. So Cal Quantrill at 6,600 has strikeout upside. I get it. He's facing a team that doesn't strike out a lot, but it's nice to see that he actually can thread and get some swings and misses, and then he's not giving up a lot of power. I get it. It's the Giants, so it might attract a lot of ownership on a 10-game slate. But 6,600, I like the guy. I like the upside there at the price point, and I like it relative to the other guys around him. Let's look below. Glenn Sparkman against Cleveland. No, I get it. 2 starts ago, he went 9 innings. He pitched real good. Not going there. Sean Anderson against the Padres. Sean Anderson works deep into the games, or deep-ish, at 5 1/3 innings pitched per start. But he's still a terrible pitcher, only striking out 14.8% of batters overall, and now he gets to go up against a San Diego team that has kind of given him a lot of trouble this year overall, not getting there. Adrian Sampson against Oakland. Oakland is one of the best teams in the league against right-handed pitching, and now you get a pitcher in Adrian Sampson who gives up the highest hard hit percentage on the slate at 48.2%, 3 percentage points higher than the next closest guy, which was Homer Bailey. and he strikes out 18% of batters only. No, this is where you get to all the Oakland bats, all the Oakland righties. Chichi Gonzalez against Cincinnati. This was a spot where I was like, okay, do I just try my luck with Chichi Gonzalez against Cincinnati since he's cheap? Cincinnati's not as good of a team as some of these other teams down here. Then I looked into it. God, no. He has a 5.92 SIERA, the highest on the slate. Whenever you're approaching a 6 SIERA, that means you should go back to the minors. He has a 13.9% walk percentage, 2.7% higher than the next closest guy in the slate, which is Daniel Ponce de Leon. Only striking out 15% of batters, giving up loads of power to lefties. No shot. Ivan Nova, I get it. He went 9 innings last time out against Miami. The exact opposite of Miami, the Miami Marlins, is the Minnesota Twins in terms of power and not striking out. So, yeah, give me all the Twins bats. And then Aaron Brooks going up against the Angels today. You just don't pitch. You don't pitch bad pitchers against the Angels, or even average pitchers against the Angels, or even good pitchers against the Angels, really. So, you can see what I'm saying here. You probably already identified it. The slate is garbage from really, honestly, the 8,000 range and below. Anything in the 7,000 range and below, I don't have a ton of interest or conviction around. It's Cal Quantrill, it's Homer Bailey, really, for me, in terms of interest. So I'm going to add Homer Bailey into the player pool. And here's the thing. He's 6,700, Quantrill 6,600. Keep an eye on whatever it is, awesemo.com, Roto-Grinders, Fantasy Labs, whatever you use for your ownership projections. I would recommend Awesemos. I've used them before, and they are absolutely fantastic. I'm not a sponsor of Awesemo. I am not affiliated with Awesemo in any way. I just think that that is the best projection system out there. That's why the guy's fucking pulling down $500,000 weekends like he did last weekend. Ridiculous. So between Homer Bailey and Kyle Quantrill, if there's a drastic ownership split, say Quantrill is 25% owned, Homer Bailey's 13, which I doubt that will be the case, but if that's the case, then go to Homer Bailey. If they're both very similar, then I want Kyle Quantrill, just due to the fact that he gives up less home runs, he gives up less walks, lower SIERA, and he has just a higher ground ball rate. He's just going to get into trouble less, and he has better strikeout stuff in a matchup against the Giants. So just to recap, Gerrit Cole, Mike Clevenger, Martine Perez, Homer Bailey, and Kyle Quantrill. Those are the 5 early interests. I will be doing my article later today. I'll throw some of those out. I'll add potentially some more pitchers in. I'll rank them with analysis. Same exact thing I'll do for my stacks. I don't do a lot of hitter analysis here because it's 5:30 in the morning right now, 6 in the morning, and there's not a lot of lineups out. There's no lineups out, and there's not a lot of Vegas lines out, so I really have nothing to go off of. And a lot of the stuff that I would do right now would just be chalked up by 1 o'clock today and wouldn't even be worth it. So I'd rather wait later in the day, and that's when I do the article. It comes out before lock. Let me know if you watched the entire video. 10-game slate should be a fun one. Seems like a Gerrit Cole, Mike Clevenger lineup is not optimal when you spend $23,000 a pitcher, half your salary almost. But it seems like you could potentially be getting 80-point upside there, 70-point upside there out of 2 guys. And if that's the way the slate crumbles and all these starters are absolute garbage and none of them see 20 fantasy points, maybe that'll be worth it. So those are the 5 guys I have interest in. Stacks and pitchers and hitters will be up later today, which is my rankings. Like I said, article on Patreon, link down below. If you want the stat sheet, it's on Patreon, link down below. Follow me on Twitter if you're still watching. I appreciate a follow over there, at Mlb Dfs. You can ask me any questions you want in the DMs over there. They're open. You can at me on Twitter. Anything you want to ask me. Keep it professional. Don't send me your lineup and be like, do you like this? What am I supposed to tell you there? Everybody's sending me their lineup saying, do you like this? I'm not going to tell you to switch your lineup one because that's your money that you're putting into it. I don't want to be on the hook for that. I'll tell you, I can help you with strategy, things like that. But when you say, hey, can you build a lineup for me? No, it's just not happening. I don't understand that stuff. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That's the biggest thing. We're at 5,700 subscribers. Thank you all so much. I'm excited that we got to this number before the NFL season. Honestly, to start the year, it was Christmas Day. I got to my 1,000 subscribers. Everybody kind of got me to 1,000 on Christmas Day. Everybody was subscribing. And then since then, it hasn't even been a year, and we've 5x, almost 6x. It's absolutely insane. So thank you all so much. My name's Sal. You already know that. Peace out, gang.